also going to have an invocation. The invocation today is going to be given by Reverend Knox Bullock from the Bible Church and Woodland Bible Church. Better get it right. And we appreciate you being here today, Knox. We have an invocation at each one of our meetings. Whether or not you want to participate is up to you. If you don't want to participate, it's fine. And whether you participate or you don't will have no bearing on whatever you've come here to do today. We also invite all religions to take part in this invocation. All you need to do is call my office, ask Melissa, and she'll set you up on the calendar. So with that, I'd like everybody to stand. Fran Schomel's going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll remain standing.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day that you've given to us, a beautiful day. Thank you for this second month of the year already that we're moving into. Thank you for our Board of Public Works and our mayor. Thank you for these citizens who are willing to do what they can to help our city go forward. Thank you for our city, and we're asking for your blessing upon us. Help these board members as they make decisions. May they be conscious of their responsibility. And Lord, may we be always aware of our need of you and our dependence upon you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety of Connersville, Indiana, the first meeting of the month. We'll have roll call.
Jane Oakley, present. Fran Schomel.
Present.
Leonard Urban.
Present.
Mike Bishop.
Present.
Ron Coldiron.
Present. Let the record show that all members of the Board of Works are present. We have a quorum and we can do business. We're reading to the minutes of the last meeting.
I move, Your Honor, we accept the minutes as so stated for the date of January 21st, 2014.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the minutes as they were mailed out to the board members. Are there any additions or corrections?
No, sir.
None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Our first item of business today is going to be new business. Request to block the streets for the girls' basketball sectional February 11, 12, 14, and 15. Close the street for the boys' basketball regionals on March 15th, Ken Fuller. If you'll come forward, Ken. State your name and tell us your business.
I'm Ken Fuller, and I'm coming for the behalf of the school. I have talked to Mr. Counselor already on these dates. We took on the girls' sectional this year. We've got it, and Brent was needing us to block the Indiana from 20th to 21st on these evenings.
19th.
I'm sorry. The 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th. Yeah, 19th to the 20th, that street. Sorry. On Indiana.
So the buses and
Yes,
team
so
buses can
the
move
team
in.
buses can move in there, and as soon as they are parked, we want to block the street.
Okay.
And then on March 15th, the boys regional, that will be approximately blocked almost all day on that one because of the regionals, which we do every year. But the sectionals will only be at the time of just getting the buses parked, and then at the time we get them all parked, we'll remove the blockades.
It's in the night, is it, Ken, at nighttime?
Yes, yes, sir. So it'll probably be blocked from 4 o'clock approximately to, I'm gonna say, the buses should all be in by 6:30 for the games. So we should have them no later than 7 o'clock be unblocked.
Will
So I would
you,
say safely say 4 to 7.
okay. Will you block again when teams load, or is this just?
No,
Okay,
just that
just
time.
checking, okay.
Do
The
all,
buses will drive around the front to pick their teams up.
do all residents that lives on these streets have accessibility from the back, or have?
There are no residents.
There isn't?
There's no residents
I
in
got
that
you.
block.
Backside the hospital.
I got you. Wrong street.
I'm sorry, permit the girls' basketball sectional blocking of the streets 11th, 12th, 13th, 11th, 12th, 14th, and 15th of this month. And the boys' basketball regional on March the 15th on Indiana Avenue from 19th to 20th.
Second, please.
Got a motion and a second to allow this request. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Anybody out there have an objection? Not appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Got the firehouse software next on the agenda. We do this every year. Fire chief. Any questions to the fire chief? He's here today to explain it.
Mandated that we submit every fire run report and inspection report. We've been researching, trying to get us more affordable software. We think we're close. Maybe next year we'll be able to do something that is working the bugs out right now. And it's the same as it was last year, the price, although they're projecting an 8% increase for next year.
Any questions? I'll take a motion.
So moved. We move to accept the, or we approve the payment of firehouse software in the amount of $1,130.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the firehouse software for the year 2014. Any discussion? Not appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Request to hang a banner for TRICAP of the week of February 14th, 22nd. TRICAP sorority, Susan Kiefer.
I'm Susan Kiefer, and I'm here on behalf of TriKappa. TriKappa Week runs the 16th through the 22nd, and I would like to be allowed to have this run, please.
Is it okay? It's available.
I move we approve the hanging of the TriKappa banner in celebration of TriKappa Week, February 14th through the 22nd.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Anybody out there object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Brought your banner with you?
I did. Would you like me to do it?
That's okay. I'll take your word for it. And
Historic preservation, future plans and funding.
You skipped one.
What did I skip?
D.
Oh,
D.
I'm sorry. Approval of Earth Networks Alpha Video Agreements for the City TV. That must be John. John. I'm sorry. I never like to skip you.
Let's see, the Earth Networks is our software for broadcast that we use to show WeatherBug Network on TV. And the Alpha Video contract is our service contract for our bulletin board system. It's a support contract that we...
It's in the budget, isn't it?
I move we accept this request, Your Honor, for the amount of $500, I believe it is. And there's two here, is that right?
Mhm,
And the other for $595 for Alpha and Earth Networks. Second, please. Do them both.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
That was for both of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any discussion? Anybody out there? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Question.
Now we're down to historic preservation, future plans and funding, HPC, Board President Donna Scott. Good evening, or afternoon, Donna.
Good afternoon, Leonard. Where's the representative?
Right there. Please.
thank you.
So if this looks my finger.
Thank you, man.
I've handed the members of Board of Works essentially what I'm going to say, but sometimes I think if you have the facts in front of you, it helps to kind of remember what we're saying. The Connersville, first of all, Leonard introduced myself. I'm Donna Scott, and I'm the chairman of the Connersville Historic Preservation Commission. I'd like to take just a quick moment and ask all the commission members that are present to stand, please. I think you'll recognize several of the people, and among them is Joe Frost, who is the Community Preservation Specialist with the Indiana Landmarks. Thank you. So the Connersville Historic Preservation Commission would like to respectfully request $3,000 from the remaining bicentennial funds. This amount would be used to compile an application to place downtown Connersville on the National Register of Historic Places. Connersville's downtown has already been placed on a high priority list that targets historic districts worthy of preservation throughout the state and that they think should be named to the National Register. Our local commission will become partners with the Indiana Landmarks and to facilitate being registered on the National Register and would be eligible to receive a matching grant from the funds that I'm requesting from the National Programs Fund Assistant to aid in preparing a nomination application. To give you a quick background, initially we will decide the boundaries of the proposed downtown district. Preliminary discussion has mentioned an area from 3rd to 9th, but that is still to be determined. The application will request detailed architectural descriptions of each building accompanied by photographs and a narrative of the property's historical significance. We will hold public hearings. Each property owner will be identified and contacted before the application process does begin. Properties in the designated district can then benefit from federal and state rehabilitation, tax incentives, and improvement grants. This could serve as, we hope, an early step in our downtown's revitalization and aid in improving our participation in the Indiana tourism industry. To those who sort of think that the love of history and attempting to preserve it is living in the past, we would say we're honoring our past by preserving it for the future generations. We would point to the building that housed the bicentennial headquarters just down the street. Many bicentennial volunteers worked long and hard to rehabilitate an old and unused storefront into a space, and now that space, after the bicentennial was over, it houses a new business that's trying to start in Connersville. We would like to preserve our downtown area so that in the faraway year of 2063, our community's heritage will be visible for those who take on the task of the next celebration of our community. For a personal note, I'd like to apologize to the Bicentennial Committee for not presenting this project at their final meeting when they did decide what projects they would suggest be funded. Our commission met after their meeting in December, and the subject for applying for this money came up, and we decided that it was a wonderful way to perpetuate our downtown history. We feel by placing Connersville's downtown district on the National Register, it will be a fitting and a lasting legacy from our Bicentennial Committee. And it fits the mission statement of the Bicentennial to honor the past, celebrate the present, and welcome the future. And so we hope by accomplishing this and putting our downtown on the National Register, we will be welcoming the future. So I'll be glad to entertain questions, or we have our resident specialist who is far better versed than I, if you do have questions.
Thank you, Donna. You made a great presentation. Let me explain to the board. The only question here today is not whether they should do it, how they should do it. that's already been decided. They are the commission. The question here today is, should we take $3,000 from the remaining bicentennial funds and grant to them to use for this project? That's the only question at hand. Discussion. Anybody out there would like to speak first? I probably should start right there. Anybody out there would like to speak first? Donna?
Well,
Come up to the podium, please. State your name. We're on TV, so we gotta get everybody's name.
I'm Donna Schroeder, and the other's Donna. I guess I could speak to this from a couple of angles. As a downtown store owner, I think this would benefit all of us greatly. I'm sure that you aren't really aware, but Joe could explain to you what this could do for some of the building owners down there as far as incentives to improve those buildings. As president of Historic Connersville, I'm pleased that the Canal House and the courthouse are already on the National Register. And this would just be another way to promote tourism, which brings me to the other hat, which is a member of the Tourism Board. This would be a great way to promote our city. It's always good to have those recognitions as a way of promoting tourism in your city and county. So I applaud Donna for bringing this proposal to you, and I hope that you'll consider it.
Anybody else out there like to speak? Joe, you want to speak? I'll come to the podium, Joe. Just state your name. When we get on TV, Joe, and people want to know who's speaking, so we do it this way. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Board of Works. My name is Joe Frost. I'm a Community Preservation Specialist for Indiana Landmarks Eastern Regional Office, and I've been working with the Historic Preservation Commission to help facilitate and to guide them in historic preservation matters here in the community. I hadn't planned on speaking because I thought Donna did a great job, but to support what she said, the National Register is a list that's kept on the national level of all the meaningful and historic places in our nation. And Connersville, downtown Connersville, is one of the few downtowns in Indiana that is not on the National Register, which I find interesting considering that Connersville is one of the oldest communities in the entire state. We just celebrated the bicentennial with the canal era history and all the historic fabric that is still here in downtown. It's almost a no-brainer to put it on the National Register. With that does come incentives as far as federal and state tax incentives for property owners to rehabilitate their buildings and so forth. It does come with some protection as well, in the sense that the National Register does mandate if federal funds are going to be used on a project, the federal agency that's going to do the project does have to review if historic buildings are going to be affected. Now, this in no way changes or restricts individual property owners as to what they can or can't do with their properties. In fact, we can nominate Historic Connersville onto the National Register today, and then tomorrow completely bulldoze it. And as long as we don't use federal funds, we can do that. It's actually a misnomer that the National Register protects buildings, and in fact does not. It protects them from the use of federal funds, but a property owner can do whatever they please with their building because it is their building. So with that, I will entertain any questions that the board may have. And thank you.
Okay, board, questions?
The $3,000 is for the work to apply, for the application?
This is for the application.
Are there funds that are needed after that in your
No.
past work?
The National Register goes through a nomination process, and that is facilitated by a third-party consultant. And Indiana Landmarks does have what's called a Partners in Preservation grant, and I'm encouraging the commission to use that $3,000 as a match for that grant application. Generally, the historic district nomination costs about $6,000. So with the $3,000 from this fund, and then a grant, potential grant from Indiana Landmarks that would facilitate the nomination process.
And when you talk about a nomination process, is there a chance it'll get turned down?
There's always a chance that it could. However, we are going to work with a historic preservation consultant that is familiar with the project, or familiar with the process, excuse me, and ensure that all the Ts are crossed and Is are dotted before it's ever submitted to the State Preservation Office for review.
If it should get turned down, what happens to this $3,000?
It's gone.
That's a very good question. I would assume.
That's why I asked it, thank you.
Well, it's spent.
It's spent.
We're
It's
spending
spent on the
it
application
for an expert
process.
to
I
file the
understand that.
application.
Isn't there some program in progress now where they can fix up their buildings and get some kind of aid?
UEA will furnish paint.
Okay.
We painted all, tons of buildings downtown last
Which
year.
is a total different thing.
It's a different grant completely. We just furnish paint. and
Well, we
somebody
did have
else.
that grant that Katrina worked on for the downtown merchants, where it was a matching for
I thought so,
downtown
yes.
Conway, yeah. So I think that's, all those funds have been depleted.
Okay,
This is long-term forever.
okay. Well,
If it makes the national.
It's a great project, I think it's fine. But the thing is, how are we going to fund it? Should we haven't gotten into the money left over from,
There's enough money in there to do it.
right, but should it all come from our share? Or is the money that's left over going to be divided 3 ways between the city?
That's a Board of Works decision.
So
Should we
this,
make that decision first before we decide where this money will?
You could.
Who, excuse me, who controls this money? Is there 3
It's now
parties?
It's now a Board of Works decision.
$30,000 was left over from the 150,000.
I got that. Okay, so we control that money.
Yes.
Okay,
It's a Board of
Okay.
Works decision.
okay, thank you.
I think there's approximately 30,000.
It's not quite that.
Not quite 30,000. I knew some of the bills had yet to be come in when
I think it's all paid.
30,000.
They paid the sales tax last week.
And that was like 4,000.
I think everything is paid at this point. In fact, I've been assured it's all paid. But this is not a fund of money that has to be spent today. They're asking for a portion of this to continue this thing, which is part of the bicentennial. I think it's totally legitimate if they want to ask for that.
Are you going to be coming back and asking for more, ma'am?
No, that amount with the matching funds that Joe referred to will be all, as far as we know. The person will come in and help us identify architectural patterns, that type of thing. We'll take photographs of each building completely up and down, and that will be that amount. So we're asking for the city's half, in essence, or the commission's half. And we also, I might say that we did receive, through Joe's office, a letter that said we were on a very high priority to the National Register to have our downtown put on the register. So I don't think we can never say never, but I don't think that there is very much probability that we would not be accepted, especially if we, as Joe says, cross our Ts, dot our Is, and do our research for the application. I think it's pretty much a done deal, because they are wanting a community that has our long history to be in there, under their umbrella.
If I remember right too, Joe, what was the other grant we wrote on 4-H building and you gave us money?
That would be Ephraimson Family Fund
And
grant.
how much did we get on that grant?
That was $10,000.
So we've already received 1 grant.
You want a motion, or is that what you're
Well,
wanting?
if you're ready for that.
I think, my personal opinion is anything that will help this city and get it more vision, I make a motion that we accept this request to get $3,000 to Connersville Historic Preservation Commission to get on the National Register of Historic Places. If that's enough, Julie.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Anybody out there further discussion? None appearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Bicentennial budget balance discussion, Foundation Director Anna Duggan.
Good afternoon. My name is Anna Dungan. I'm representing the Fayette County Foundation. As you have in front of you is a little bit of history of when Historic Connersville applied for the bicentennial funds. You have a copy of the grant requesting the funds. The grant, just like anything, is written kind of in a time capsule. They went through and said at that time what they proposed that they were going to do. You can see as you're looking through there that what they were going to spend it on. They have the budget also. What we're coming in front of the Board of Public Works today is the celebration balance, and that we are in contract with the bicentennial. That contract is in your packet that says specifically if there are funds remaining, that those will be discussed and returned to the Fayette County Foundation.
Mr. Baker, have you reviewed the contract?
Yes, I have. On the second page, paragraph 8, there's language about, it says, in one of the last clauses of the next to last sentence, and also outlines how funding should be handled and presents guidelines for what will happen when funds remaining after all bicentennial events. And then on the towards the end of the document, there's a
One that has the foundation's letterhead at the top, it has the
Yeah.
agreement.
It's Connersville Bicentennial Committee accepts a grant for $50,000 to provide financial support to the bicentennial celebration. I, Mike Sparks, as chairman of the Connersville Bicentennial Committee, and among other things, he says, will return any portion of the funds not used within 1 year of when the grant was awarded the project start date. And I'm not sure how that is to be interpreted exactly. I guess it's saying return any portion of the funds not used within 1 year of the project start date. Is that your understanding?
That's our understanding.
Yeah. So that's, and signed by Mike Sparks and accepted, and the grant was then awarded by Foundation, signed by Anna Dungan. So that seems to be pretty clear.
So does this money need to be returned to the foundation?
It seems to be saying that.
Contract it is.
Do you have that page?
Yes, he does.
Yep. It says will return any portion of the funds not used within 1 year.
What we know is that a lot of people donated to the bicentennial. They had the $1 a day. A lot of people gave blood, sweat, and tears more than actual dollars, and we're not weighing that in. We know that the total spent was $378,000, and that's a huge amount of money. The foundation gave a fraction of that money, and it's so noted in here that they were very well pleased that we gave $50,000 so that they could get that matched. We have the documentation that the first matches came in when the historic books were written. They had an influx of money. We matched those dollar for dollar. When the foundation gave this grant, we did not have $50,000. We gave them $20,000 up front when that match came in, and as earnings came into the foundation, we paid those. We only work on a percentage of the earnings. So to come up with $50,000, which we understand that we are one of the largest granting bodies in the community, but to go out and ask for money, it is more difficult to go back and say, we would like windows for a building, when another organization has already asked for windows and that organization was not successful. We are gaining on 28 years here we can't begin to change our rules. Last year, the Salvation Army, they received a grant for $38,000 for a new stove, which if any of you've been in the Salvation Army, they desperately needed a new stove. When it came
3,800, I
in,
think, yeah, 3,800, wasn't it?
$38,000
Was it?
for a new stove.
I'm sorry.
They returned the grant because they got a better deal. They returned the grant of $2,000. The CEC, a couple years ago, we gave them a grant of $50,000, and they returned $25,000 because their leadership program did not go. 2 years ago, we gave Brian Coates $810 to take a group of people up to Winchester to look at a restaurant. That did not come in fruition, so they returned the $810. Ricken Street, JA, we have organizations that have signed the same document and have returned the money. When I spoke with different people in the community, I know that the city paid a lot of money for the bicentennial. Mayor, I'm sure you paid a lot out of your pocket and out of the mayor's.
Promotion fund.
Right, you did the invitations, you got CGS services, all of those things. What we're asking for is to be part of the equation. If you're the final resting body, or is HCI, or who is, I think we need to be part of the discussion. We're not coming in here saying, write us a check right now, but I don't think that a group of people can get together and put a dot on what they feel is important. Now, I've been to those things, I know that they're great, but when you look at that, those are things that other organizations can apply for. They can apply to the foundation. They can apply to the city for those things. But we did not give them money for other people to play mini grant maker.
I think the discussion here today is this, that the city gave $45,000, plus we experienced about $30,000 in overtime wages to facilitate bicentennial. We, on top of that, gave thousands of dollars in different areas that the city had available. So the city has put plenty of money. We're not asking for any money back. I think the issue here today is this money's available.
To who?
Now, wait a minute now. Hold on. The bicentennial, is it over? When did it end? There's some closing things that need to be
I
done.
understand that. I've
One
talked
of
to Kemper
these that they
CPA,
brought-
and
one
they
of-
have that, and they're
No,
gonna finish that out.
it's closed, it's all closed. All the bills are paid. But like this project today is a continuance of the bicentennial, what they want to do. This gives them seed money for $3,000.
We did not give money to that.
Let me make an observation. The other incidences you cited, there was a specific fund from the foundation for a specific purpose.
No, it came through the competitive grant cycle.
Well, some in it.
Okay.
But anyway, here we've got $30,000 left over. And how do we know that's foundation money?
We're not saying that it is.
Good, because it can't be isolated, can it?
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you see the problem, you can't say that's a particular amount from a particular source because you can't identify it that way.
But we can't say
So that
that
creates
it
a
goes
problem.
to one group or another.
But I have another issue. All through this bicentennial, at every meeting, I promised the bicentennial committee that we would commemorate this with a plaque of some sort. And you know, we have been working on where we're gonna put the plaque, whether it's gonna be in the park, it's gonna be here at City Hall, down on the corner. I have to do that. I promised them.
The number one thing, if you read this, that they requested money for it was the Pioneer Village.
That, they just didn't raise the money, I guess, because there is a log cabin someplace sitting somewhere. Right?
They didn't apply for a plaque.
Well, this discussion could go on all afternoon, and I think it's premature to make any decision at this point. We probably need a committee meeting or two to discuss this issue.
Who else are you gonna pay out before the $27,257 is finished?
Who else?
Who else are you gonna grant that money to?
Well, I want to pay for those plaques. I'd like to pay for that. I'm not going to pay for it out of my own pocket. And we promised Historic Connersville, we promised the day chairman, and I just haven't done it because we haven't had...
Why did you get to promise it? Why?
Because we changed
I was part of that.
We changed it, the city's in charge of it. If it would have been short on money,
Donna, I don't want to argue and I don't want to be called all the names that this committee's already called me. Okay? I'm not saying that you guys have, I was not able to come to this meeting to play the doc. Donna, I know you've called me an Indian giver. It's been all over town and that breaks my heart.
I don't think this is a place to discuss
I
that,
don't get
ladies.
it, but I don't, you don't need to talk
That's
behind my back
I'd like to
right
say
now.
something.
Let's.
I just want to be part of the discussion.
We're out of order here, come here.
We are to
We
be
got-
part of the discussion.
I'm not saying you're not, it's not a problem.
But you're already greening out money. What do we do when the Art Association calls and says, when do we get our money that you're gonna buy our mural?
It's what I started to tell you before you started that. The agreement was, if the money was short, we would pick up the balance. We could have been short $30,000. The city would pick up the balance. Is that right, John?
That's correct. That's in the resolution.
And when we made that resolution, we said, that's the way it is. According to Mr. Baker, the attorney, he says, what money is left is the responsibility of the Board of Works to decide where it goes. That's
Well,
what-
You're taking
the
that money, is what you're
bicentennial
saying.
committee.
No, we're not taking the money, we just haven't decided what we're gonna
It
do.
was a committee of the Board of Works.
They came in
So you
today.
guys get to decide.
They came in here today with this thing, sounded to me like it was just a continuation of the bicentennial. It sounded like the thing we ought to do.
Well, when I was on historic preservation, and we wanted to go through that, that was not even an option.
We just didn't have the $3,000 to get the
Rick
grant.
Lemon did an awesome job, and we had a fundraiser.
But we didn't have the money to do the grant.
Mayor, I think we need to ascertain what the foundation is requesting. I'm not sure I know what that is.
I don't think this is the time and place to do that. We need to have a committee meeting and discuss this.
But
No, it is the time.
what do you want returned? Is that a fair question?
We would like to sit down and see how much the funds are in the balance.
Yeah.
And I don't think any money should be given from the funds until discussion can be made.
That's fair enough. And I think that's what you're suggesting.
That's
is
what I'm
not-
suggesting.
She's not
Yeah,
asking,
sure.
she's not asking for a certain amount at this point.
Right.
She's asking to be in the discussions,
I understand.
I don't see that problem.
in agreement with the contract.
Fair enough.
That's why we have the contract. And
Mayor, can I say something here?
Sure.
Two things. Number one, we have to give respect to the foundation for offering the money to the bicentennial in the first place. So I'm certain there's going to be something in the future that we would like for them to help with. I'd hate to kind of get on the bad side of the foundation. I mean, they are a pretty important part of the community. Two things, we certainly can't overlook what the contract says. But yes, I agree that we probably need to sit down and put you in on discussion to see where the money is actually going or divvied up. So 2 points there. We do have a contract that says we will return any portion of the funds not used in the 1-year grant. And two, out of respect to the foundation, I think we at least owe them that much to sit down with the committee or whoever.
Do you have something you want to say, Mike?
No.
Any other discussion?
I think we do need to sit down in a committee meeting and discuss it. The foundation does have obligations, legal obligations on what they do with their grants and how they account for their money in order to keep their status as a foundation. I don't want to see anything jeopardize that. And it could just be a discussion and that's the end of it. But that has to happen in order to make the foundation accountable where they need to be accountable.
Any further discussion?
Well, then it came from three sources, didn't it? From the city, from the foundation, and from the committee that had fundraisers and so on and so
There
forth.
were a lot of individuals, there were people that gave so much for a day. There were so many,
And I
some
don't know
people
that
that.
all those need to be, the fundraisers are one thing, but the big donors are another thing.
They're all
It's the
donors,
big
Jane.
county.
They gave
No, I'm-
$10,000 each.
Right, that's what I mean.
They're donors.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
That's who
Hospital
I'm talking
gave,
to.
what, $10,000?
no, the next largest donor is a corporation in town.
Yeah.
And that was 10,000. Everybody else is a day sponsor, 2,500.
Well, they originally had, I thought they had some, what did the railroad give? Did they give a big bunch?
No, sir, we gave them money through the bicentennial. The largest.
Donna, wait a minute, Donna Scott, didn't the railroad pay a big fee?
I think Donna could speak to this better, the other Donna, as we could
Yeah.
say, because she was on the fund.
Do you know what the railroad put in?
They were a day sponsor. And one thing I'd like to say to you, I'm sorry that this has caused so much strife and disagreement. However, oddly enough, if HCI was still in charge of the bicentennial when that grant was signed, or that agreement, that contract, I have been president of Historic Connersville for 3 years. I was never consulted. I don't think you'll find my signature on that contract. I don't think you'll find anything that says that the Board of Directors of Historic Connersville agreed to whatever that is that was done. And I question how anyone, Mike Sparks or anyone else, can speak for the Board of Directors of Historic Connersville. We knew nothing of the writing of this grant. I know nothing of that contract between the foundation and the bicentennial. I never saw a copy of that grant until I asked later on in the process if I could have a copy of it to see what was done, and it was a done deal before I ever saw it. So I think
Was
there
the
are
contract with the
multiple-
foundation done when Historic Connersville was driving the bicentennial, or when the city of Connersville was driving it?
Yes.
When was it done?
It was stated
As per-
February of 2012.
That's when the last $50,000 was paid. It says here, the agreement is signed with Donna Schroeder, President of HCI, Leonard Urban, City of Connersville, Michael M. Sparks, appointed Chairperson of the Bicentennial.
All right, you have signatures of all those people?
Did I sign that?
Which one are you referring to?
That one is actually.
And the grant itself does not list Historic Connersville anywhere. It only lists the Bicentennial
It
Committee.
just says that it's under the Bicentennial, Historic Connersville, their U.S. Treasury Department.
There was no bicentennial, had no authority. It had to be run through HCI, or it had to be run through the city. They didn't have any 501c3 process to do it. That's why originally it was run through HCI and then eventually through the city.
Yep. On page 8 of the second page, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
In June 2010, an agreement was signed by Donna Schroeder, the president of HCI.
Yes.
Leonard Urban, the mayor of the city of Connersville, and Philip Sparks, the appointed chairperson for the Bicentennial Committee. And it says this agreement attached, and I'm not sure where that agreement is.
Then we have the Board of Directors for HCI, and then,
So do you know where the,
that original agreement was the one that I came before the Board of Works. That original agreement states that any funds left over
this is it?
shall be used for preservation of the Roberts Building or a like project. Now, if we're going to go back to that agreement, I can bring you a copy of that if you'd like to have it. If that's the agreement that began the whole thing, then we need to figure out the process. And I think it would be a good idea if instead of arguing this in public and
It's right here.
making accusations, okay.
It's here, and it's only Bicentennial Committee. There's nothing about the Roberts Building. It has your signature on it.
Wait a minute, what does it say? What's the date on that one?
June 2010. It's the one referred to apparently on the second page of the grant impact, paragraph 8. In June 2010, like I said earlier, an agreement was signed by Donna Schroeder, HCI, Leonard Urban, Mayor, and Philip Sparks, Chairperson of the committee. This agreement attached explains that HCI has been designated by the city to be the official planning organization of the bicentennial celebration.
That's the original agreement, and we redid that agreement.
I'm trying to find language, and apparently, and I haven't read through the agreement yet, it alleges here that it presents guidelines for what will happen when funds remaining after all bicentennial events Do you know where that's included in this agreement?
Here's another letter from Donna saying it's
John,
a total
I'll
support.
tell you what we're gonna do here today. I'm gonna appoint a committee, and we're gonna work on this.
Right.
And we'll bring this to a future Board of Works meeting. Okay. I'm gonna appoint myself as the chairman of this committee. You can be on the committee, and I want one member of the bicentennial committee. I'm not sure if, who that ought to be. I think Mike has pretty much washed his hands of the bicentennial. Is that true or false?
You can just let me know.
Do you, wait just a minute, let's get this going here. Historian, do you want to serve on that committee with us? Okay, she's been on the committee from day one.
Who is that name?
I can't call her name, I'm looking right at her, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the Fayette County historian. She's been in on this
That's-
way back when we were working with the other lady, Paulette Hayes. Okay.
And
Mr. Baker?
we need names, we need to specify names right now again, because we're
Okay,
making.
I want Mr. Baker.
Okay.
And Foundation. I'm gonna take Fran Schomel because he doesn't work. And he can meet when we can meet. Some of you guys at work can't meet when we have to. And, is that okay?
you're on the committee.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Who's five? John?
Elliot,
Who you asking?
Pat, John, Anna, Fran, and you.
Myself.
Okay.
And I'm gonna chair the committee and I'll call the meeting together.
Could we have a representative from Historic Connersville?
You do, Pat
You do,
Suman.
Pat. Is it
Oh,
Pat,
okay.
Historic Connersville?
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
And we'll try to walk through this gently and bring it back to the Board of Works, maybe with some understanding. In the meantime, we have a problem with the $3,000. I thought everybody was on board with that. I'm sorry. I thought that was a wonderful thing.
It's not that it's not.
Huh?
It's well overdue to have that downtown. I think. But
And you object to us taking that $3,000 out of there?
it doesn't matter.
Do you object to it?
I object to any spending from that money.
Well, we can't take it out of there right now anyway, because we don't even have it, so. They haven't given it to me yet.
I'm trying to figure out how to resend that motion. Just let it ride for right now.
Why do we have to rescind it?
No, we don't have to. Hold on a second. Can we just let that ride for right now?
You don't have to implement it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. And then you can rescind it later if it's not going to be
Put an
feasible to do so.
administrative hold.
Let's just leave it open at this
That's a
point.
good point. yeah.
Administrative hold on payment.
What'd you say?
Just an administrative hold on going forward with it. Not rescind the motion, just hold until it actually comes due, and then we'll have discussion before that.
Okay, is that okay with everybody else?
I'll get you a copy.
What was the motion exactly?
Was there a
There is
motion?
no motion.
There is no motion.
Oh, well, you said
There's
not to
no
rescind the motion, so.
We're not rescinding.
I know,
Just
what
put
was
a
the
hold.
motion?
There wasn't a motion.
Okay, well, then there's nothing to rescind.
No, they're talking about the motion
For
to give.
$3,000 for the downtown.
Okay, I was gonna say I missed something here. Okay, we're hoping their motion on hold. We're actually talking about two different things, looks to me like. One is spending $3,000 for the preservation of historical Connersville, and then we've got the issue with the funding.
There sure wasn't any money spent out of that fund.
Yeah,
That's not saying we can't fund that fund out of something else if we have
yes,
to. I don't want you
exactly.
folks to get
Two
discouraged.
different things.
Try to keep going with your thing, because I think it's a good thing.
So they can contradict each other.
We created this historic preservation committee, about 2-3 years ago. I thought it was a great thing when we did it, because almost all cities were trying to preserve historic, and really it's caused nothing but trouble. I'm kind of sorry I ever suggested it,
It's done great things.
but that's where we are today. So with that, we'll move forward.
Can I have a copy of this?
Yes, I will get a copy too.
I need this.
They got a copy machine on.
Oh, just right out there.
All three of these. You want that one too?
You're welcome to go with you. I'll get a copy.
Yeah, copies are.
Okay, those two.
Okay, we have resolution 2014-03. It's a transfer in the park from non-recurring $2,211, $489 for soccer, $499 for pickleball, $262 for basketball, $420 for archery. What's the $50?
50's for archery.
Archer. So anyway, you guys can read what it's for. And you know what we're doing, we're taking down the non-reverting fund and transferring it.
I
Any
move-
discussion?
No, I move we approve resolution 2014-03.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Utilities. I saw him here if he hasn't left.
Afternoon.
Yes.
Hi, Dave.
How are you, Dave?
Good. Pretty good, thanks. Just wanted to give you an update on some of the ongoing projects. Tomorrow, EFI, Engineered Fluid Incorporated, will be here to do the work on the SCADA, do the software, computer, get all of the communication back in line. As you know, we've had a problem with that. While they're here, we agreed to have them change the controls at Gray Road booster pump station to a VFD, variable frequency drive. So they'll be doing that while they're here. That was a savings since they can do all that while they're here. And that will be tomorrow. The Badger meter retrofits, that's the clock and transmitter, 3,000 we ordered will be here within a week.
Good.
And we will make a schedule up to start getting those installed.
How many? 1,000?
3,000.
Is that all of them, Dave? Is that?
No.
That's all the retrofits.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But we have 2,000 whole unit meters to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Also through the past change-outs of old meters, the old Amoco meters, also scrap metals that we have. We have a lot of scrap metal now taking room. We'd like to move that out. In the past, we've asked permission to sell that scrap, and I'm now asking for your permission for Congress Utilities to sell that scrap. That is of no use to us.
How are you gonna sell that scrap?
We typically take it to a area scrap yard, and then they pay us for it.
You take it locally,
If they have the best price.
you call and get their price per pound. And then
Pardon me?
you call and get their price per pound and
Yes.
then go from there. Okay. The only thing I ask then, that if you do that, I want the poundage and the money. How much of each, okay?
Okay.
And you might document what prices you got on the scrap too. I mean, how much per pound from each.
That's always on the ticket.
I take a beating when you don't sell it here. And I don't mind taking a beating, I just want to know that we're doing it fair, you know. It seems like in Richmond they pay more. Why is that?
I don't know.
Okay. I thought scrap was scrap and.
More volume there.
It's not.
I'd say it's more volume because they got more volume and they can pay more.
Well, just document those three things for me.
Sure, I can do that. The other thing is, I've asked Mary Ellen to be here with me today so she can help explain this. As you know, we are required by the state to monitor any CSOs, combined sewer overflows, and we currently don't have all of our equipment that's working properly. It takes special equipment to do that. So the information that we are reporting is not accurate, and inaccurate information often raises a red flag, which then causes more investigating. So Mariella, if you've got a moment, come on up and help me explain this. There's a couple things that we're asking for that would be one-time costs, and that is some software.
Before you say that, Nate, is this to deal with a new way of reporting? I know they've just instigated a new way to report all this.
They require now that we report intensity, duration, rainfall start times, rainfall end times, overflow beginning, overflow ends. I mean, the equipment we have now, it just isn't functioning in that way. And I'm estimating everything. They don't mind the estimates, but you have to be able to back that up. And I'm working on information that was gathered 20 years ago that's just not accurate anymore. So this new equipment does all that for us. So there won't be any
Is it a
question.
software equipment or?
Part of it, yes. Part of, what we have now are probes that sit in the manholes. And those manholes are recording the pressure. When there is flow in the manhole, it records that pressure and it gives us, it's calculated into how many gallons are overflowing to the sewer system, okay? Those probes weren't designed real well so that in shallower manholes, like when a car goes over it and it hits that lid, that pressure, it creates a spike. Well, that spike shows up as an overflow. Now, if I'm using that equipment and those printouts and saying, this is when it overflows and this is when it doesn't, how can I say, well, that wasn't an overflow? You know, they're just not working. And they have little weep holes in them, they're filling with water. That's changing the whole calculation. You know, we've got 4 of them. 2 of them are not working. 2 of them were working fine because one's in the canal where we don't have those problems. The other one's in Water Street where we also don't have those problems. We just need to do something before, you know, we're already under an agreed order.
Yes.
And I believe that order specifies that if we're in violation, we could be fined $10,000 a day for it. Well, if we have 2 that aren't working, that's $10,000 for each violation for each day, if they so desire. And what you're referring to, that letter, it was, every CSO community in the state was audited for November. And in November, they identified any omissions or inaccuracies in reports. And luckily, the only inaccuracy that they found in ours was that on page 3, it didn't say page 3 of 3. So, you know, we were doing pretty well. But they said again, they're going to do this again in January. So if, at that point, anything will trigger an audit. And we don't really want an audit until we get some of these problems straightened out. Because if they come in, they're going to say, why aren't you doing this. So it's up to you. It's pretty costly, but this is something we have to do forever.
How much is it?
How much is it?
Well, what did we figure out,
Ballpark.
Dave?
Well, the unit itself is $4,115. And that would be per unit, depending on how many you buy. And currently, we want a minimum of 1. We'd like to have 2. Eventually, there will be a total of 4.
As long as the equipment we have now is working in the locations, I don't see any real reason to
Well,
replace
the
it.
fact Strand is just beginning to look at our agreed order to see if we can adjust it. Should we not have Strand in on this?
This isn't, while it's part of the agreed order, it's also part of our permit. We have to monitor these locations. Whether we separate all the sewers or not, we still have to monitor because according to our permit, we can only have 4 overflows a year. The only way to know if those are overflowing is to put equipment in there that tells us. So, you know, Strand, what they're doing is they're going to come up with the projects we're going to move down the road with. Like after we get done with the sewer separation on Grand Avenue, where are we going next? What are we going to do?
Well, they're also going to look at the state to see if they've changed the rules someplace.
Right, and they're also going to decide, do we really need a wet weather facility that's going to cost $10 million? Probably not. You know, that's what they're doing. This is going to be there when all that's said and done in 2028. We're still going to have to do this.
You know, the daily monitoring will still be there.
Yeah.
So how many units are you asking for the board to approve today?
I would like to try, just want to make sure this is what is going to work. I've gotten references from 8 other communities, Richmond, Muncie, there's several up north, and all of the cities are using this same equipment.
Does it sit in the manhole too?
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't work on pressure. It works differently. And I can give you all the specs for it and everything.
She refers to this letter. This letter is about 3 pages long. And I called her in a panic the other day. They send those things to me, my God, I don't understand what that stuff is. They use those acronyms for all different things that we gotta do. She says, don't worry about it, I'm on top of it, I'm on top of it.
Yeah, we're good. We're doing everything we need to do. It's just that now the equipment isn't working and.
They don't hold, well, they do hold Mary Ellen responsible.
Sure.
Sure I do. I can lose
She's
my
got the license, that's
She
right.
was her license, but they put me in jail. And so it's really more important. 'Cause I
Don't
signed
toes
it.
up everybody.
I signed
Those
every
requirements
order.
up.
I rely on her heavily for staying up with compliance on both wastewater and stormwater. She does a great job for us. She just finished an annual report on the CSO, on the sludge report. It was that thick that's going to the state, and she still has another one to do. All those things are required by Congress Utilities. She just takes care of it for us.
I'm totally aware. What she does, you'll never find somebody at her price to be able to do it. That's
Not with the
reason
combination of education she has.
we have put a mandate, she can't retire until 16.
Well, we'll discuss that when we get to the salary ordinance.
I did want to complete the information about costs.
How much does it cost for one total?
Well, there's a one-time fee for
The software.
the software and a connecting cable. The software is $2,055, the connecting cable is $235.
What's your total cost then?
4,000 and
7,000, somewhere around there,
for one.
You got it figured out?
6,300 ballpark if you throw in the unit for $4,115.
Yeah, and then each unit after that would be 4,100. What we're using now is 15, and it's not working.
How old is it?
For 4 or 5 years. 2 of them are older than the other 2. But, I mean, right now, I'm gonna have to spend 3,000.
Board, I
Two
agree
units.
on this. with the
Mary Ellen,
contract,
if this,
then we do this.
If this
Sure.
new
We
sensor
back out there.
or monitor doesn't work to your approval, what's your?
How many,
I mean, you said you wanted to try it, that's what about the
Well,
question.
you want to try one to make sure it's going to solve the
Yeah.
problem before we go and buy a second.
Right, and I don't know what the other options are. This is what everybody's using, so I have to assume it's gonna work. I mean,
If my math is correct, it's $6,405.
That's
Does
what I
that sound
got
pretty
too.
close?
That's what I got
That's what
too.
Jane has also. Then after that, the software and cable would not be a cost.
I make a motion that we go ahead and purchase this and get one going.
I'll second that.
Amen.
It's cheaper than
Any
$10,000 a
discussion?
day.
No.
the only other option, I guess, to answer your question would be to have somebody come in and do it for us for a fee,
Third party.
third-party fee.
And that's going to be more than
But
this.
that's an ongoing thing.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
This
They
is the
may
best way
demand
to
it
go.
monthly.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because we have to do it monthly.
Yeah, but I mean, right now they did November, and now we're gonna do January.
Oh, yeah, well,
All right, got a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
great.
All I have. Appreciate it.
Okay. We have a, you want to take?
Dave, did you want to do your
ordinance?
salary ordinance amendment?
Well, I've not seen a final draft or review one yet.
It does, but usually because you are the board over the utilities,
But I mean, should it go there first?
no, this board should approve.
All right, we have a new salary ordinance that we've been working on.
Here, Dave, here's a copy.
We've had a committee of David and Fran, you were in on
No.
it?
No, Jane.
Jane, I'm sorry, Jane, and myself and the clerk treasurer. Jane, I think you chaired that committee.
Yes.
So would you like to explain that?
No, I'll have Dave explain it.
And have David explain
Well, I
that?
can explain why it's not the original request, but I've not
Yeah.
reviewed just yet, so
Okay.
It's just like we talked about.
all the amounts and
The
everything.
amounts are those for 40 hours.
Well, Congress Utilities, because we serve the public in a different manner than other offices, we have worked 40 hours a week. Our office staff has worked 40 hours a week for some years. The ordinance we worked under stated that the pay was based on 35, and that was true, based on 35 hours a week.
For certain employees.
For certain employees, right. That language made the ordinance confusing. So I requested that it be changed to reflect the hours we actually used, we actually worked.
And actually, this doesn't amount to any more money.
Yeah.
We're already paying these people that money. It's just the way the salary ordinance reflected.
Yeah, this came up a month or so ago.
Yeah.
a month and a half.
We talked about this.
Yeah, the confusing part is, there was discussion about beyond the 35, there was comp time available to be used, and our staff works 40 hours a week. So I asked that it not be called comp time, because we need them 40 hours a week.
However, the only thing I addressed in the salary ordinance on comp time was that anything over the 40 hours would be accrued at time and a half. I don't address how that comp time can be used, because I think that has to be addressed.
Our own
I thought you were
policy.
gonna change
That's
a policy to bring it back to the board for their approval on that, so we really.
That's be the next step, we want to go over that policy book.
How'd the 35 hours get in there?
It's been that way.
I don't know, it's just
It's
long
been there
time.
before us.
been there a long, long time, I don't know, and it must have been something from many years back.
Probably when it was originally written.
Yeah, and just never changed
It
it.
never-
And they are
never
all
been.
working 40 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you think about it, Fran, our office hours are 8 AM to 4 PM.
Yes.
And they come in a half hour earlier to get their drawer ready, the computer set up, all the information, everything ready for the day. And then when we close at 4, they have another half hour so they can balance out their drawers, continue to wait on any customers who may still be in line, because at 4 o'clock, if you have 5 people in line, you still wait on them.
Sure.
So it gives them 30 minutes to do that. So they all, I won't say they all, but the majority of them take 1 hour off for lunch, so they have, again, just 40 hours a week.
Julie, how you been able to pay these people $1,244.80 when the ordinance said $1,089.55 for the cashier?
They've always broken it down to an hourly rate of pay. They broke the,
And
The ordinance said that this pay that was listed was based on 35 hours a week. That's how the pay was based. Not that they could only work that. It's just that for the purpose of displaying how much they would make per hour, they based it on 35 hours.
So this will not alter the budget? I mean, I don't want to put at risk a rate increase.
no,
coming
they've
up
been
here.
doing that. I went back 2 years
So
on
this,
the.
the 2014 budget
It's already, yeah.
It's
handles
already-
this.
This is just a language change.
it's just a
isn't it?
language,
just
it's not
like-
changing.
See, they would
their
work
checks and-
35 hours, and then they get so much an hour for the next hours until they got 40, and it amounted to this 13.95, 14.08, so it's the same.
Well, I just,
We're just straightening out now, it's for 40 hour period.
okay, well,
They're gonna get the same
I just
pay
wanted
as
to be
they
sure
always
we
have.
weren't doing something that might
Yeah.
No.
Now,
put
I
us a rate
suppose
hike in
what
here.
could have happened, they could have worked 37 hours and only got paid for 37, but they got paid for 40 because everybody worked 40.
Right.
But if they had been working less, it would have been less
Where do
money.
the other non-contract people work, Julie?
35.
That's because the office hours are different,
And they get paid for 35.
right?
We have constant flow of residents coming in and out, as
Yeah,
opposed to
longer
other offices. That's why
And that's what
we are
Julie said.
open 8 to 4.
We gotta address this comp time now because it can get out of hand if we
Yes.
don't, so we gotta address that in the manual.
Does this have to go to council, Your Honor?
Yes.
You
All right.
make a motion, this
Yes,
be
I
sent to
do.
council?
It was my understanding that anything beyond 40 hours had to be paid time and a half.
That's right.
You have the very first line there.
No, I don't think we said that. I think we said they could still accrue comp time, but only up to 8 hours of comp time.
True.
But it has to be a time and a half.
Yeah, this-
And I have that in there.
No, this one says
Dollar.
1 hour.
That was already in there. That's
Right.
only on
That-
the wastewater supervisor.
Right, that should be changed to 1.5, shouldn't it?
I didn't
It has to
remember
be.
that we talked about.
It's state law, though, it has to be. if you work anything over 40 hours, which we're doing 80 hours in 2 weeks, it has to be
Why
time
was
and a half.
that like that anyway? Because Mary Ellen always works 40 hours, don't you?
Well, unless she's called in or emergencies, whatever.
But you have to be time and a half.
I didn't remember that we had even discussed her comp time.
John, should we amend this ordinance before we pass it, or ask the council to pass it?
Yeah, if that's gonna be required to comply with state law, sure.
We
I think
can
so.
offer comp time by the municipality, or we can offer money, but we have to offer it at a rate of 1.5 times.
Right.
And that's only on the wastewater.
But it would be on any employee that worked more than 40
Well,
hours.
but it's already says that on the other employees down
Okay,
here.
yeah.
I just didn't know we were changing anything with her. Okay, if that's, then
So we
we'll
need a
have
motion to change this language.
We're basically not changed it, but we're putting it in writing. So we gotta have an hour and a half.
Is that how it's done now, is an hour and a half?
Should be.
Yeah. And well, we should be doing that, but that's not how we're doing it.
I wonder why it was set up this way.
I don't know.
John, municipalities aren't exempt from paying time and a half, are they?
Nope.
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
Okay, let's,
So we amend it?
you've got a motion on the floor, did you get a second? I don't think we have a
We don't have
second.
it.
You want to make a motion that we do this with the change in here? Send it to the council with the change.
As amended, yeah.
As amended.
What are we changing again?
We have it, we're gonna make this that comp time for the supervisor
hours.
would be 1.5 hours for every hour worked, after
Okay.
40 hours.
Okay.
And then the handbook will address whether it's taken in comp time.
Let's say
Or
that,
how
or
it's
say
taken.
outside of regular hours or something.
In excess of.
After regular work hours.
Yeah, hers says after regular work hours. That position says,
And regular work hours is 80 hours every 2 weeks.
well, her regular work hours is 8 to 4.
So it's 40 hours a week, not 80 hours a week. So it's
Well, I'll make the motion that we send this to the council after we correct that error, making it 1.5 hours for every hour worked after 80 hours in a 2-week period.
Actually, it has to be after 40 hours.
Or after
40 days in a
40 hours in
1 week
1 week,
period.
but it's 80 because we pay bi-weekly.
Second, please.
You're right, though, it has to be, we gotta count each week 40. So if she had 41 in 1 week and 40 in the next, or 39 in the next, you still have to pay an hour and a half overtime, because it's based on weekly. Everybody understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yes.
So we can move on, okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll correct this and take it on to the council.
Thank you, David. You need a copy of this, you got
Yeah,
it?
but-
Here.
Melissa, will you get me a
I
yardstick?
wrote on mine, but you can.
Got that one.
Here, just take mine.
You want to give that?
Okay.
Thanks.
Written on your wall.
I have, as you know, when Frank retired, when Frank retired, we had to change an officer into the detective department. And I've been going over this with the clerk treasurer and the police chief. And if we make these promotions to run the shifts, we'll actually save about $3,800 in a year's time, because we'll have officers running the shift and we won't have to pay that fee for a regular policeman to run the shift that we're having to pay now. So with that, I'd like to suggest that these promotions we made, Chris Scott to lieutenant, Brian Evans to sergeant, and Dax Gunder to sergeant. It's just cleaning up the police department and allows us to have supervisors in place when the captains are off duty. Any questions?
No. You need that a motion to make?
I need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept these promotions of Chris Scott, Brian Evans, and Dax Gunder as written, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mayor, can I bring my officers in?
Yes, I'd like for you to.
Please.
Okay, this is Lieutenant being promoted from sergeant to lieutenant, Chris Scott. Patrolman Gax Gunder to sergeant. And Officer Evans, who's getting promoted to sergeant, is in court at the moment.
Congratulations, President. Thanks, congratulations. Thank you so much. All of you. Gentlemen.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
From the officer into city council, will he be available tonight?
Probably, I'll have to
If you
check.
can,
I think he's working, yeah.
I'd like to honor him.
Okay.
You all know that a couple of weeks ago, the chief of police was accused of shooting himself with his gun. It's not a funny matter.
It isn't.
No. I told the public, and I told all of you, that I would review the report. It was written by 3 of our police officers, very well done. It was very well investigated. And then they put the video into motion and slow motion, and we all reviewed that video. And I want to show you today exactly what took place.
Might want to kick them lights down, Mayor.
You want to hit the lights? Okay, this is David looking at a Glock right here in the gun shop. Camera's here. He hands the new gun back to Mr. Wolf, takes his own gun out to check the weight, puts it back into his holster. Okay, secures it twice. Okay. Did you see that?
No, your head was high.
Huh?
No.
Am I lying?
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
Try it again.
I don't know if I want to see it.
Mayor, you might want to.
Wait just a minute, just a minute.
Ow.
You can see his coat moving around.
Blood.
Okay, turn the lights on for this one. The issue at hand is here, what he did, he tested the other gun, and then he pulled his own gun out to feel the weight difference with the new gun. He put it in the holster, saw that it was secure, took his hand away from the holster completely, grabbed his jacket to put down over the gun. On a face, what's it called? North Face jacket, or a Columbia jacket, and that's what he was wearing. It has a string, and it's got a little black toggle on it. That got caught on the trigger, and when he pulled his jacket like this, it fired the gun. It was an accident. Now, why is this important? Because how many officers might carry a gun and have one of those? A lot of those jackets. Did yours have one? No, I don't have one. Okay. See, like, I got 2 jackets like that. I don't carry a gun.
I do too.
But if you watch that, his hand is nowhere near the gun when the gun goes off. Hands the new gun back, pulls his own gun out to check the weight to see how it feels, puts it in and checks it to see if it's secure. Then watch him grab the jacket. And the gun goes off. That can happen to any one of us, not only with handling a gun, but other things. We have notified a lot of police departments about this because a lot of police officers wear Columbia jackets and wear North Face jackets. And those little things are dangerous when they catch in the trigger. But his hand, Dennis, are you still in here? Yes. Come here. How far was his hand from the trigger when he pulled his jacket up?
It was towards the front.
But
Even
nowhere
towards
near the
slide,
gun.
it was not towards the trigger.
Can you do it in slow motion?
Let me see it. Yeah, it's in the front.
He was just readjusting his jackets.
Yeah,
what
he
he was
just pulled
doing.
his jacket up.
See, his hand is not even close, and that
Yeah.
right there is where the gun is about to go off. Right there,
See that?
his hand is not even close to it.
His hand's on the jacket. Now, we reviewed the reports of the police officers, we reviewed this video, and I don't think there's any reason to accuse the chief of police of anything. It was an accident. It could happen to any police officer, and he may have saved some lives by finding out that this could happen with these strings. I never thought about those strings on the bottom of a jacket. I guess they're to pull them tight so the wind doesn't blow up in there. Any questions?
Mayor, I just want to
Thank
make
you.
one comment. There's been over 1,000 incidents like this involving police officers and private citizens. I'm not the first, and I won't be the last. This is an ongoing problem with people who carry firearms, concealed. And if they need to watch what kind of jacket they're wearing and where their holster is and this type of thing. Because I'm not the first that's ever happened to. There's a whole website full of these type of actions like this. On various type of guns. That was a Glock, but the one we have is a SIG. There's another one that's right there. It's a SIG in the holster still, and you can see the toggle down in the trigger housing.
Okay, question of a gun enthusiast. Does a Glock have a safety?
Glock has a safety on the trigger. It's in the middle of the trigger, and it has to come flush with the trigger to pull. When that was down there, I was pulling up my jacket to pull my jacket over my weapon. The toggle and the drawstring that was in there, when I pulled that jacket out, it pulled that string, causing it to discharge.
Was that your duty holster, Dave, or was that a personal holster?
That's a personal holster.
No, would it, okay, no, just not to be dangerous. Another type of pistol, would it not have a safety on the side of the?
There's a lot of different guns that have different types of safety. For instance, the one that I have another picture of an officer having doing the same thing, he was carrying a SIG. If the exterior safeties aren't in place, you just got it where you can pull out and pull the trigger, don't have the finger guard or whatever, or a palm guard like a 1911 45. That can happen to anything, any weapon.
Okay, would you turn the lights on?
One of the important things I think you have to notice in that video, if I may say so, is his actions immediately after it happened. He pulled the weapon out, broke it down, made sure that it was clean, and it's very, plain that you can see it was an accident. My goodness.
We're human.
I'd like for the Board of Works to agree with me, if they do, that this was a pure accident. There's no need to go any further with it, unless you have discussion. Any? That's the way it'll be handled.
I agree wholeheartedly, Mayor. I think
You want to do a roll call vote?
I can?
You State the question.
Okay, the question is, do you agree with me that there's no further action needs to be taken, that it was just an accident, and we may prevent somebody else from getting hurt?
Okay.
Roll call.
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Fran Showman?
Yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes,
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
yes.
thank you so much.
Mayor, now make another comment, please.
Yes.
Connersville Police Department puts on occasionally a class on gun safety, especially with personal protection permits, because we've getting so many people applying for permits and they're buying guns out here for personal protection, because look at Indianapolis, we're having 2-3 murders a day. But we're going to not just into this class, we're going to institute or put in there about clothing and how to conceal weapons and stuff like this. This has been brought to my eyes, and I didn't realize that many people, but I think that needs to be carried on and get that out there, as the mayor suggested, that we could, I don't want to see anybody else happen to them what happened to me, police officer, private citizen, or whatever. So we are going to be promoting some gun safety classes coming up, and that criteria will be in there. Thank you very much.
Glock is not the only gun
Glock's not the only
manufacturer
one.
that makes a safety and a trigger.
Okay, we have some park department issues here. Approval of 15% discount pool pass. I think that's the month of March only.
It is.
Okay, you all have that in your packet? I think we've done that every year.
Yes.
Is there any problem?
No.
Okay, I'll take a motion now.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, now we ought to start selling pool passes at 15% discount during the month of March. Isn't that wonderful to think about pool being open?
I'll see you at the next 2 days. Hits us.
Information on that call 825-5244 at the park office. We urge the people to do that, and they've been very successful in past seasons. A lot of people have taken advantage of it.
We'll talk about this at the council, and we'll talk about it at each Board of Works meeting until we get done selling. Okay, is there anybody under public forum? Is anybody else that'd like to speak? Oh, Fire Chief. I'm sorry, did I miss you?
I didn't get time to get down on the agenda, but I had a couple things I wanted to bring to you real quick. I've been promising Ronnie I'd bring him this. Fran, this is an Nomex hood.
Okay, yeah, I asked
that
about
we
it
were
last
asked about.
time, you were buying them, right.
This is the latest study on cancer and preventing it in the fire service. I wanted to bring that to you, the best if you could read it. Good, I think I made you one. Yep.
Thank you.
And then, those wasn't getting replaced, we're supposed to check them replace them every 5 to 10 years by the standard, and we found some of them that was almost 20 years old.
You wash those?
Yeah, but what's happening is that carcinogens in the polymers are getting in them, and guys are wearing them around in your thyroids and everything, so it's increasing cancer risk. We had an incident at a nursing home the other day. I'm gonna bring Battalion Chief, A-Shift Battalion Chief Tim McFarland up, and we had a chance to bring a demo thermal imager in, and I wanted to show it to you real quick, show you the difference, and then I'm gonna show you why we're gonna ask for one on, and any grant we can get. This is the old one. It's 16 years old. It's a high heat, low intensity, and you can see a guy has to carry it around and look through walls and look for victims. This is the one, when we bought these 16, 17 years ago, they were $18,000, $20,000 a piece. Like pointed at somebody or pointed at the wall. This is the technology change. This is what we're going to ask for. It's around $5,700 a piece. I turned it on too.
75% less.
You can look in the wall and look at for hot spots for what we had in the nursing home the other day. It was 5 degrees out, around 5 below, wasn't it, with the wind chill? And we had a nursing home, a fire hid inside the ceiling of the wall, and it took us a while to find it.
So this replaces that?
Yeah.
This thing is so cumbersome and heavy, my goodness.
If I remember right, the public helped raise money.
Yeah, we, Walmart and all of them. And this is what we're gonna go with. I had an opportunity to get one to bring it in, and I thought I'd bring it in and show you. That way you know what we have.
How much are they?
Around 5,700.
And how
And then
many,
like,
one on each truck? or-
yeah, like when we have a nursing home with 7 guys, is what we had the other night, they can be going through, because nurses were saying, I heard it over here, I heard it pop over here, so you have to check every room. And what it was, it got in the ceiling and the wall. And Tim might want to explain it to you, it was a 240,
Yeah, the ceiling itself was actually, it has a heat wire that runs through it. Ronnie, you probably know what I'm talking
Cable,
about.
yeah,
It's got a cable, and when you point this up, it just shows the whole ceiling. That one's got the capability of telling you how hot it is, where this one will not. And you can also record on this model here, where you can't on this one.
There's an SD chip in there. If you're recording the
You can
video
record
or the
like if you see
statistics.
the object hot in the ceiling, you can actually, it'll pause for a minute and take a picture of what it is, where you could go
And they
back later
record.
on and.
4-hour intervals. If it's on, it's recorded, we can download it. But we had to send guys into the attic and literally had to go all over sprinkler pipes and wires to actually look for the hot spot. We had a lot of smoke. One of the first officers in on, what was it, about 2 o'clock in the morning? We were really real close to evacuating, and it would have been pretty hard, but it worked out real well. But we had the opportunity to bring that in, and I wanted to bring it to you and show it to you.
Where do you interface the recorder on this thing?
And I take the battery out, and there's wire, plug the wire into it, and it goes right onto your computer.
Now you're asking the hard question.
How much are those a piece? again?
5,700.
We're gonna go for a grant though, right?
Yeah, we'll go any way we can. I just wanted you to see it while we had it here and show you however we can try to get the money. We're gonna try to.
And how many you getting? Or
We
asking?
need 3 of them. Now, the good thing about it is, the bad thing is there's no resale on these, on the old ones. But what a lot of departments do, and if it would be if we can get this done, they would ask if the police department wants them.
Well,
to
they're
go
also
in.
good for finding places in the roof.
Yeah, and they're excellent for looking for people out in the dark, out in the woods, because
Yeah, this-
they've been used for that several times.
This one right here has saved 2 or 3 people we know, but the last one, I think, was you on that one? We took the aerial out. A dementia patient was in a cornfield and they could not find it. And we raised the aerial up and just
What's the range of
She's
the
right
thing?
over there.
You have any idea what the range is?
Actually, it's probably several hundred yards.
Yeah. I do know thermal imaging in the last 3 years has just took leaps and bounds. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
this
it's a
one,
big- it's a big
this one works both ways. This one's high heat, low intensity during the fire. This has that mode inside the fire, so it doesn't damage it. But like when we're in this room, it's low heat, high intensity, so it'll separate, within inches. Tell you that. So it's
think-
really good for looking for
I
fire.
think the military has that design now where they can actually wear it in their helmet.
Yeah.
That's how far technology's going.
Well, you can see that's, that one eats the batteries too.
I'll
But if
bet.
we can get it done, we'll be donating them, so.
Okay.
What's the
Wait a
chance?
minute, you guys. While they're here, I want to commend them. This was a very serious fire in a nursing home with over 100 patients. When he called me that morning, I said, did you have to evacuate the building? He said, no, we contained the fire. Of course, they got the fire doors. Well, hour and a half you were there total?
Yeah, approximately.
It was in the ceiling. They put it out. Nothing was disturbed. The nursing home went on. I think there was a little problem in the kitchen, right? They had to not use that kitchen that day or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would have been with 100 and plus patients in there? If they had, and that's the night it was what, 5 above or 5
Sub-zero
below?
temperatures.
It was right at zero.
Can you imagine evacuating those people? So I think they're to be commended. The first station to respond was over there in East Connersville, and then all the others responded. And it was a job very well done. And you were the captain that night, or, excuse me, I'm on the old school. You were the battalion chief that day.
And he did a great job, and Dave's guys, the PD was there helping us, and they did a great job. We all worked good together, EMS.
You know, I get it all the time. What'd you do, save the foundation? No, we saved a lot of lives, and that building, how much damage did you save?
Oh, there's several thousand.
But nothing
could've
like
been-
it could
Yeah.
have burned, yeah.
But when we come to you, this is what we're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Hope you get it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, if I haven't missed anything. And old business to come before this group, did we have anything old? We went through public forum, miscellaneous business, Ronnie?
Fine.
Oh,
Fine.
okay. No,
No, I have nothing.
just to be real clear, would you name that committee I appointed to work with the bicentennial?
Fran, yourself, John Baker, Anna Dungan, and
Pat Sue.
Pat Sue.
Okay, just to be clear, it's in the record. You'll get it in the minutes.
I have it.
Okay. I think unless you got something else, I'm ready to do claims.
We'll do utilities first. Water is $55,986.94. Sewer is $57,702.43. Stormwater is $8,420.84 for a total of $122,110.21.
In our claims, I saw the Department of Homeland Security, we had to have a park elevator operator certificate
That's
for
mandatory.
$120. Is that a yearly thing? They have to do it every year?
The elevator company paid for it last year, this is our first year to pay for it.
City had 158 claims, and the amount of money was $28,825.80.
Any discussion on the claims, board? Any discussion at all? Take a motion.
I move the claims as presented. Or did someone down there do it?
No, he made the motion, are you second? They got a motion made, the motion that Fran would take care of it, and you're paying for it now. And Ron seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. I don't have anything else other than adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
And I'll remind you that we have an executive session, and Mr. Baker will be meeting with us.
I'll second that one.
At 3 o'clock. Okay, motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any nays?